gorgeous human beings of the channel. A summit of sisterhood for me, for you, for us. Today is an extraordinary day. The lineup we have of speakers is absolutely extraordinary. It's such a treat. And our first speaker today is such a masterpiece of a human being. And this person has really been such a rock for so many in the channel during the time in the channel. She's been a catalyst for badassery and claiming yourself, your body, your space. She's really helped a lot of people break free as a sister inside this channel. And there's something I admire so much about this woman. I want to share that with you. And so over the course of my life, I've seen people go through difficult things, and I've watched them, lead themselves behind the scenes and in the front lines as they navigate difficult things, being, the coach and mentor for so many that have become successful over the last few years. I've been the one to see how people behave in the public eye, but I've also been the one to see how people behave behind the scenes. And this is one of the rarest behaviors I've ever seen. No matter what Juliette has gone through, and there has been a lot, and she's going to be bringing forward some talks on duality and grief during her time here today. But she has been such a rock for herself and for others all at the same time. And I feel like this duality piece is one of the ones that if we can crack as women, there's no limit to who we can become. Sometimes when we are going through difficult things, it becomes impossible for us to support other people. That has never been an excuse for Juliette. This entire summit, she has been front lines listening with her entire body. She'll stand out in the screen as the one who's so awake and connected to every word. And when you find out the things she's been going through, you'll have a hard time understanding how she manages to do that. But she's done that time and time again throughout the entire channel. And there's something so mature and grounded about it. There's no overgiving or needing to be validated. There's basically processing everything through love and through collective healing, which I've been blown away every step of the way with this woman. And so I'm so grateful that she's here today, carrying the very duality that we admire her for, as she leads a process and a conversation with all of us that I think could not be in a more raw and real moment. So Juliette, without further ado, come on up.
I'm like, we're gonna start. I'm like, woo, okay. And I did put on makeup today.
I did. I chose to skip this one call with makeup just today.
Man, we seem to plan our calls for like really intense times.
I know. What the heck is up with that?
And then I couldn't get in earlier, and I was like, what's wrong with you? It's like, oh, it's shut everything down. Like, okay, I like intensity. It's like, give it to me.
I like intensity. Well, that is true. You've been through a lot of intense things, but you come out every single time like a freaking phoenix from the ashes. And so I'd love to just kind of ground here where we are. Like, do you want to chat a little bit about your experience in the channel? Do you want to start there?
I actually do want to chat a little bit about the experience in the channel.
Okay.
Because you know what? Yesterday, Lisa's call was beautiful, and of course it was late here, and it was quiet. I was sitting on my side of the house, and Alex is asleep with the dog on the other side, and I was like, I'm actually going to go back and have a look at when this all started for me. So I came into your world, I think, through one of the master classes, and then bought, I don't know, 2 programs. And I remember looking up the 6th of September 2021, I joined AFE. So that was like, I don't know, 2 months after I joined your stuff. I'm like, and I texted, it's like, hey, can I just join this? Because, who else is one of these people that actually just signs themselves up? I actually want to look. Right? We don't need any persuasion. We just sign ourselves, we walk ourselves to the front of the room saying, hey, sign me up, give it to me.
Yes.
Been like that all my life. Good. And the 7th of September was my late mother's birthday. And then the 10th of October, I remember somehow listening to a replay, and I never listen to the Q&As and replays, but somehow I was like, yeah, I'm listening to this, and my fingers just text it within minutes without knowing what the hell was going on. I'm like, I need to be in this, and I looked it up. I said, I'm feeling nauseated, which for me is a really good sign. This is what I really desired. And our first call was on the 17th of November. Now, the 17th of November, a few years ago, my sister passed away, and I was on my knees, and I was begging the universe to give me sisterhood. So I'm just going to say it. I called you all in. You just listened.
You know what blows my mind? The first date is Emmanuel's birthday, the second date is my engagement anniversary, and the third date is my sister's birthday.
Hello. You can't make this stuff up, can you? I mean, anyway, I will go through a few other things that you can't make the stuff up, what's happened this weekend. So I'm going to give a bit of a trigger warning, okay? So first of all, let's start with the channel and the sisterhood. So my sister died, and I was meant to write her speech and to speak in her memorial and be the first person to speak. And I went to see her, because we took her home. She died at home. We bathed her, we clothed her, we sat with her. All along the way, I found these little nuggets. I remembered my own near-death experience, so I could explain to her what it was like to die. Then the day that she died, she's like, "Can I go to the light?" I'm like, "Yes, darling, go." So it was all these, like, trust. All of you have intuition. All of you actually can trust yourself, right? Please know that these nuggets take you on a path, and you don't know what the hell you're going on. It's like, hold on for dear life. You're going on this roller coaster. Woo! No idea where you're going, but someday it's going to make sense. So for my sister, she's like, "Jules, can I go to the light?" I'm like, "Yes, darling." So she was at home. We died. She was there. We kept her there for 24 hours. Actually had a really beautiful wake with her twins, and her husband and me, and really remembering, loving. And then in Belgium, we call it a funeral feast. And I kind of understood, so we planned her funeral, and it was actually a funeral feast. There were like over 700 people that came, and we had to go to a bigger place, and the flowers and the food, and it was just magnificent. But I couldn't get myself to sit down and write this this speech. And I actually recognized that I was so angry at her, because when we grieve, we're not supposed to talk about being angry at the person, right? But it was only until I actually allowed myself to move it through my body, and we will get to this later, is that I could move it through, and that I could actually say, "Hey, I'm angry that we don't get to spend this time together. We don't get to see our kids graduate together. We don't get to see them have their first babies, get married, start having their first wrinkles, whatever. We don't get to ski together. We don't get to do these things together." So once I wrote that speech, I know I was just like, hey, I'm yearning for the sisterhood. So I remember that first call, you asked us, what do you most want from this channel? And I said, sisterhood. There we go. We have a summit of sisterhoods. This is what we co-created. We co-created a space where everyone could be themselves in their full glory, in their biggest expression of who they are, and yet be so accepted. And it's like, hey, come on here. You need some help. Come. I know how to do that. Or if I don't know how to do it, I can figure out how to do it. It's like, my definition of a coach. It's like, you have this big pothole in the road, and the priest walks by and says, "Oh, do your Hail Marys and do your this and that." And the rabbi says, "Do this and that." And the, and the sheikh says, say inshallah and whatever. I'm actually purposely using all these religions because what's going on in the Middle East. my kids are Palestinian and I have Israeli friends. So I'm on this duality path as well. And then what the coach does, goes and jumps in. And the person in the photo is like, what the hell are you doing? It's like, oh, I know how to get out of here. So let me help you. And that is what we created in this channel. This sisterhood where it's like, you're not better than me. You're on this and that. We're all doing this together. You know, we're mixing religions. We have all kinds of faith, all kind of not faith, atheists. It doesn't matter. Whatever nationalities. I mean, we're spanning all the continents, for goodness sake. Isn't it just incredible that we all get to be?
Gosh, this is like the vision that you could imagine a whole world that could get together, that could just coexist in harmony like that. What that would give. I just wonder what a world like that would even look like.
And the interesting thing is that Homaya and I talk about this often. Yeah, I have my kids, they're half Palestinian. One of my kids and my ex-husband is in Lebanon. So it's like, it's very close to the heart. You know, they have pieces of land in Israel. So it's like, if we can overcome what happened, and you know, two wrongs makes a right, nothing makes it right. If we can actually learn to come back to that place of oneness, that place of showing leadership, of showing where we are in pain and anger, and we can yet transverse that to go and lead with our hearts. That's the only way. And we take a breath. And you have been beautiful in it. You have shown us your heart. You have shown us your vulnerability. And I remember, you know, getting my flogger out and dumbing you at one point, saying, okay, you are going to actually also receive what we get from you. And this has, I think, been my life's work, learning how to receive. This beautiful duality of giving and receiving, and then where is it one and where is it the other, and where is it that infinity sign, right? The figure 8 on its side. And then also actually with embodiment stuff, we know that the figure 8 really helps. We go up a little bit and then we take a little step down. This is the path of ascension. So one of my quotes is always, awareness is the first step towards self-love. But then self-love is the only way to ascension. And aren't we all on this path of ascension here? And you know, my woo is coming out. Screw that. You know, I've come out of the woo-woo closet completely. Where before it's like, no, I'll just, you know, I'll teach on the brain and, you know, the embodiment. And now it's like, no, there's actually more happening here. Okay, so I wanted to warn all of you that I come with a trigger warning. I can trigger people, and what I am going to talk about might trigger some people. So I'm not actually going to take you deep into what happened, but I will just, you know, there's sexual trauma and death and grieving.
So I'm going to remove myself from the camera so you have it all. I'm going to lean back and I'm going to take myself through this process too, okay?
Cool. All right, I'm gonna actually see if I can see you in gallery, because that way I can feel you more. Cool. Because I don't like looking at myself, because then I'll just be doing that. So this path, this weekend, this whole week has been incredible. So some of you might know that I started a podcast called The Scrumptious Woman about 3 months ago. And it kind of exploded. So it just went from, like, you know, a few downloads to hundreds and then to thousands. And I remember, I think 3 weeks or 4 weeks ago, I was celebrating 33,000. And I think we're at almost 75,000 today. And I was like, whoo, okay. So my little itty bitty nervous system is going, holy unleash it. And this is why we talk about capacity, right? Yesterday, Courtney was talking about capacity, and where it's like, whoa, shaking, shaking, shaking. It's like, okay, let's breathe, and then I can feel Hamaya there in the background. Like, let's just all breathe, holding the space for that, and she generously offered to hold space for me, which was beautiful. And since then, it's just been that roller coaster that went on. So last week, all of a sudden, after a week in Turkey, where I received a shit ton of codes because it's a very ancient, old place. Why I started the podcast was for the voice codes to be heard. If people can't work with me one-on-one or in my groups, then they can hear the voice codes through me, through all my guests that I invite, and then they ripple on, which is what's happening. Never quite understood how that happened, but that's what Melanie teaches. When you're in her world for a little bit, quantum leaps happen. So last week, Ascension flew, didn't feel well, went to another summit, talked there, didn't know what I was going to talk about, then took them to an attunement. So I do this thing called spinal attunement, where you move the energy through the body because the emotions get stuck in and around the spine and in the different bodies, emotional body, the astral body, and you can play around in the field, and people start calibrating to each other and start moving the same thing. Beautiful. And this photographer came up to me saying, I have to take your picture. Very Swedish in her way and directness, and I'm Dutch, so we're direct. We're like, okay, cool. So I'm going home because I'm not feeling well. I've got fever, but come to my house. It's about an hour away from London. This, that. So on Sunday morning, and I'd been thinking about my brother for a while. My brother lives in South Africa. He and I have a bit of an upside down story. My sister passed away, then my father passed away, then my mother committed euthanasia, and he was a little bit tipsy-toesy between all of that. I get a call from his wife saying that he has passed away. And everything goes through me. He's also the first guy that sexually abused me for years. So you can just imagine what feelings came up, right? And I was like, oh, and I'm also supposed to take pictures with this photographer now. So I did a lot of embodiment stuff, and I'll take you through a process that I actually did that I want you to understand. This, you have access to this. It's really easy to learn how to be with death and how to work in that moment. So later on, I was like, okay, what am I doing? My body and my human is like, no, you're not gonna go and take pictures of this woman. Are you crazy? But I had her come, and I said, listen, this is actually probably really beautiful to embody that, for these pictures to be live for people to see later. Very cathartic. And then later on, I am supposed to speak on a podcast. And of course, it's Dear Katie podcast. It's about sexual abuse, survivors of sexual abuse. We had recorded a podcast 2 months ago, and somehow mysteriously, it didn't go through. It didn't record, or it got whatever. The thing didn't. The recording didn't work. So I get on there, and they're like, are you sure you want to talk about this? Are you sure that you need this? I'm like, well, he was the first one that abused me, that sexually abused me. So to actually bring that forth while I'm grieving, and I'm grieving the loss of him, because there is nothing but love there. I've done my darkness. I've done my work in both the dualities of knowing that we can hold that, and we can actually move him through. His soul was stuck, so I had to do some releasing, and so that I could release him, he could go. And then the next morning I wake up, open the blind, and there's a deer in our garden. In the 3.5 years that we've lived, we've never had a deer. His company was called Springbok, in South Africa. The springbok is the mascot. So I was like, okay, God, thank you. Hello, universe. I like intensity. I hear the signs. Thank you. I'm doing the right thing. And there we go. We all take a breath. Synchronicities, right? And this is the thing. If we allow ourselves to feel, to be open to those synchronicities, then we can see them, right? A few years ago, I decided to call my brand Feel Fully You. And I'm like, oh, that's interesting. We get to feel everything, every single iota. So it's like, be careful with what you wish for. Who said that? I know one of us said that. But really, it's like, be careful and then just be that person. We get to feel everything. Because what I want to take you through is a little a process of duality, right? Because we live in this dualistic world where there's good and there's bad, and there's white and there's black, and there's grief and there's love. And when there's a pull or a push against it, that is what we call charge or resistance. So that means that we're not free, that we are not one. We're not in unity. So that is the resistance that holds us back from being our higher self, from being in the oneness, from being in the vibration of where we can pull anything in. But once we can release that charge or that resistance, because we're all energetic beings, right? If we can move through that layer, we get to another layer where the vibrations are slightly different. And then we have choice. So, are you all up for, I'm just having a look at pictures. Are you all up for doing this process? Yeah? Okay. So what I'd love you to do is, all of you have someone that has passed over, I'm sure, right? I'm just kind of like, yeah, okay, cool. Now I want you to bring to mind the moment that you first heard, okay? We're only going to stay there for a little bit, okay? Okay, so I want you to just go ahead and close your eyes. You're going to be safe here. It's all perfect. We're all holding space. Amaya's holding space. More of us are holding space. We're actually going in that place. Okay, so take a breath. See that moment. Feel it fully. Bring to mind all the images, the thoughts that you had, the emotions, and the body sensations that you felt. Take a breath in and there. Feel that. Exhale with a big breath out and let that go. Close the door to that. Now, I want you to bring to mind that person at their most vibrant, their most alive. Take a moment. Notice what your body is doing. You might start smiling. You might feel some buzzing. And then feel that fully. So again, bring the image to mind, the thought, the body sensation, the emotion. Take a breath there. Feel that fully. And then let that go. And again, I'm going to get you to go. We're alternating. We're going back to that first moment when you heard he or she or they passed away. Bring that to mind, that intense experience. See it, feel it, experience it fully as it is right now. Take a breath in and exhale out through your mouth. Just let it go. Beautiful. Go back to the moment that you can see them in their fullness and their full vitality. Take a breath in there. See them, feel them, the emotions, the body sensations, the smiles. Take a breath in. Exhale and just let it go. One more time, going back to the moment that you found out that they passed over. You might notice that there's not as much resistance to feeling it anymore. It's not as intense. But go ahead and really magnify it. Feel it all the way that you can. Breathing it in. Exhaling and just let it go. Go back to the moment when they were in their most magnificent, their most vibrant. Taking a breath in there. Feeling it fully, completely. The images, the thoughts, the body sensations, the emotions, just allow that to come through. Taking a breath there in and out. Exhaling. Letting it go. Beautiful. Now, what I want you to do is bring both at the same time. So take a deep breath in through your nose. Bring to mind the moment that you found out that they died and the moment that you saw them at their most, the peak of their life, their summit of their life at the same time. Take a breath in, hold it, take a breath in a little bit more, bring it all the way up to your forehead. Exhale and let it go. And notice what happens between these polarities. Are they still polar opposite? Are they starting to drift slowly together? Have they merged? So I'm going to take you through a next round, exactly the same, but slightly quicker. And for those of you that it has merged already, just stay in that consciousness and that beauty. So first breath in again. The moment that you found out that the person passed away. The image, the thought, the body sensation, the emotion. Take a quick breath in and exhale. Let it go. To the other side, the moment when they're at their most, at the biggest peak of their life, the most vibrant that they are. Take a breath in. Feel it all. Exhale, let it go. Go back to the moment that you felt, that you heard. Feeling it, images, thoughts, body sensations, emotions. Exhale, let it go. Back to the moment that you saw them at their most vibrant. Take a deep breath in and out. Exhale, let it go. And now again, take a deep breath in. Feel both at the same time. Breathe in through your nostrils. Hold it all the way on top. Bring both images to your mind. Exhale and notice as they slowly start to swerve together. I want you to stay in that consciousness. Recognize the quietness of the mind. And from that consciousness, imagine this bowl of light above your head. And with every breath that you take in, you bring this consciousness through you, filling all your cells, the parts of you that were filled with grief, with despair, with happiness, with joy. Filling all those parts, filling all your cells with whatever divine light you want to bring through. Now have it spread out in front of you, behind you, beneath you, in every direction. Have it ease the pain. Now I want you to bring to mind all parts of yourself and all the others that may consciously or unconsciously have hurt you, that have had you feel this way, and bring that light to them as well, and bring to them forgiveness. Cut all the ties, the cords, letting go, let the souls go. Give them the light. Breathe out. And know that this is always available for you. So slowly, I want you just to wiggle your feet and your hands and look around the room, and you don't have to look back at the camera yet. Just look around the room, notice 2 or 3 things and accept them. They're there. They're in your room. They're here. And I want you to take your right hand and put it on your left shoulder and just give it a little rub. And then cross it across your breast all the way down to your hips, and give your hip a little squeeze, and then down your leg. And then cross the other hand, so the left hand on the right shoulder. Again, give yourself a little shoulder pat. Put it across your boobs, down to your hips. Give it a little hip squeeze, and then go ahead and actually squeeze your thighs all the way down to your knees, and then just take your finger, your hands like this, and cup your knees and just rotate them a little bit. Breathing in, breathing out. I'd like you to take your fingers, and we're going to do pitter patter. So you're going to go pitter patter like raindrops just on your forehead, and then bring it all the way down to your temples. And we go a little bit further, and then go pitter patter in the middle of your hair, and then bring it down to your ears, to your temples. And then continue to do it that way all the way to the back of your head. So when you're going to be holding your neck, and hold that brainstem, and just hold your neck, rest in it. This is what your mommy used to do when you had a fever. And if you want to put your hand on your forehead, and this is some of those of us that are mothers will know that we still do this to our kids. But actually notice what it feels like. Whoa, I've got myself here. I'm holding myself. You've got this. And then whoever has a sip of water, drink some water, because we've just moved some energy through. And the tears can come through. But now I'd like to check in with you. If you and I should have actually done this before the whole process. If you think back now to the person on a scale of 1 to 10, where is your grief now? Gotta now actually check in. Has it gone down? Are you kind of like at peace with it? Burping is really good. Burping means that you've moved some energy, right? Burping, farting, all of that is really good. So when I do sessions, I burp for my clients often. Right. It's feeling is my superpower. So I think a lot of us have that superpower. And we forget, yeah, the grief is at a 2. Beautiful. And this is like Colleen was saying, I always check in with my clients beforehand. I say, hey, what's happening? Where are you? And what's happening in your life? Saying, okay, so my brother passed away. That's the objective problem, right? But then it's like, how do I feel about it? It's like, I have all these freaking emotions. I have grief, I have anger, I have hurt, I have like, it's like, okay, that's the part that we can work on. Because that's the part where when we have traumatic experiences, that's the stuff that gets stuck. That's the charge. That is the bit where we're not free, where we're not free, where we're not one. And take a breath. Okay, I want everyone to do this. Bring their shoulders up to your ears, all the way down. I see some faces like, okay. I want you just to make sure that you're back in the room. And actually, I'm going to give you an anchor point. All right, so take your thumb and your pointy finger, okay? And put them together really slowly. And then just notice what it feels like. When you move them together really slowly, can you feel every ridge of your finger? What does it feel like to receive the touch from your thumb to your pointy finger? I call it pointy finger. I'm Dutch. I've got no idea what you call it. Can you feel the warmth of it? How does it feel to receive from your finger onto your thumb? This is where every time you do this, feel the safety, feel this expansion that you're feeling right now. Anytime that you come to a place where you're feeling unsafe, where you can feel your nervous system revving up, where you're like, woohoo, I'm a little bunny and I don't know what to do here. And I'm like, hey, scared. Put your fingers together. You are safe. You are loved. You are whole. Nothing needs fixing. Take a deep breath in. Exhale. And know that every time that you do this, you'll get back to this state. Okay. That was one of the processes that I take people through. I then add some alignment pieces into it. We then go into the body and actually get them to move it through the body. We did some left and right brain hemispheres to actually add it in. I mean, I could do a whole lecture on that, but we actually just want to feel, right?
That was absolutely beautiful. So there's a few things that come up for me having done this exercise with you. The first thing I kind of want to bring forward is that the beautiful process where you had people feel the depth of their sorrow and the peak of their joy very close together. And the fact is that takes so much awareness, because how most people operate in life is if there's darkness, there's only darkness. And then when the darkness goes, then they'll let the light back in. And I think this is why grief lasts so long, is because people will say, I'll only allow myself to smile about this person when I can no longer cry about this person. I'll only allow myself to smile when I no longer feel like I need to cry. And that is the opposite of duality. Duality is I can hold both. And so you start the experiences so far away from each other where it feels like they're so far apart they could never come together. You're passing it through for all of us. So you start with experiences that seem like they're so far from one another that they'll never meet in the middle. And you just bring them closer and closer in speed and in energy, closer and closer and closer, until you can actually feel them both at the same time. This is really one of the most healing processes, and you'll be able to rewatch this and do it for multiple different things, because grief doesn't just come from losing people. Grief comes from losing money. I'm sure Lisa, when she lost the money she lost, must have gone through a process of grief. Like, that's years, you've got to grieve that. Grief comes with losing opportunities. It comes with losing a deal you thought you were going to get, losing a client you thought you were going to work with forever, grieving your health, grieving your aging, sometimes heartbreak, a relationship breakup. Like, sometimes and I think this is why people harbor so much hatred towards one another for a long time, is because until I don't feel sad about you, I can't smile about you ever again. Can you imagine how healing this would be for a breakup if you could get yourself to smile and grieve at the same time, where you didn't need to harbor hate just to keep your feelings at bay? And so I
It's a
encourage you.
really simple process, and it's not
Mm,
just with grief. You can do it with anything,
yeah.
poor and rich. And then it's like, oh, we all want to be rich, but we don't want to be poor. But then
Mm.
there is that charge, there is that interference. It's like, and if we can let go of all of the energy, then it's just like, oh, okay. I get to be poor today and then rich tomorrow. Cool. Let's pull that to me now.
That's
So it's,
brilliant.
so it's like, instead of doing affirmations and tapping and, I do all of that. I've done everything. It's like, feel both sides of the coin,
Yes.
right? You can't feel one without the other. And that's it. And when you can feel both of them, that's when you are in a state of choice. That's when you are in that state of what previously was traumatic now just becomes information.
This is
That,
super beneficial for people with emotional authorities in human design, by the way, because what this
yes,
did,
hello.
because what this did is it really brought you back to neutral. When you really can hold duality, you're then at a place of neutrality, then you have choice, then you can decide.
Yeah. And that's it. I mean, it's a simple process, and it's actually really easy to learn. I think I have it on my free resources page as a PDF, taking people through it, and you can write it down while you're feeling it. I think there's probably loads of whatever audios as well. That's the word. Sorry,
And I
thinking in
would
different
say, like,
languages.
if you get to the end of a process like this and you still feel sad, just do it again.
Yeah,
Do it again
completely.
until you feel neutral. You're not supposed to feel like you're bouncing off the walls when you're done. You need to feel like you have the choice to choose how you want to feel for the rest of the day. Like, I get to
And
choose how I feel and for how long, like Lisa said.
And that's it. That is also one of the integration questions that I often will ask. I had this beautiful client earlier, just before our call, um, that has overcome cancer and through some of the things that we've been doing together. But there was still this niggling doubt. It's like, what if it comes back? What if it's actually not here, not gone yet? So I took her through a similar process, something a little bit different. I moved her energy a bit, and it was all those different points of view, because we have all these internal family system, whatever you want to call it. There are all these different processes that you can actually take people through. But the key thing is to bring it back to four elements. Any experience, if we boil it down, has four elements. It has an image, it has a thought, a body sensation, and an emotion. So once we can duplicate those four elements, we move through them. Now, way before I even got really deep into this, I had a remembrance of a massive traumatic experience of being date raped by five guys when I was much younger, and my psyche couldn't handle it. So I had shoved it under the carpet, hadn't talked about it for years. But I was in this class and I was getting flogged, this BDSM class, and learning all about sexuality. Sexuality was my way into ascension, right? Some people have different ways into ascension. I chose the hardcore. Um, some people it's money. But anyway, I was getting flogged and I could feel like it was just like a balloon about to burst, and it was getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And I'm like, oh, I'm like, whoa, can I get both of the DOMs to like right here? And it's like, I have something, it's coming, it's popping, it's popping, it's popping. And it was, my body was acting like, say that you have a deer in headlights that it starts shaking, or a dog that's frightened, it starts shaking. So my body started shaking, 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 and I just kind of like let it. I'm like, okay, it's coming out, and the images and the thoughts and everything started coming through. And I was like, wow. And I was waiting, and I was on my feet, and I was on the floor, and moving it through the body knows. The body knows what to do. It was like giving birth. And I have four kids. So when I came back to London, I found a Dom and I said, okay, I want to recreate what happened, but give it a different ending. So basically that is duplication. You recreate something and then give it a different ending. And it's like, oh, there's no charge anymore. There's now it's just information. It's something that happened, but I don't feel bad about it. It's just something that happened to me, but it doesn't define me. And that's when I started, looking into all the different modalities and the EFT and the NLP and CBD, etc., until I got to this Canadian company, Accelerated Evolution, that did a lot of this. And before that, orgasmic meditation, that also taught me a lot. And together with all these different modalities that I've learned, I've kind of like recreated something for myself, which basically takes the best of everything that I've learned. And that's what I take people through.
Well,
With a little bit of doming once in a while.
what I want to shine light on for everyone that's listening to this is like everyone on the planet has a calling. And whatever it is that you need to go through in order to find it, sometimes it's really intense, sometimes it isn't. It kind of depends what you're supposed to do with your power. And there has to be people of all, levels of intensity and wisdom, and the people who love to play in the higher frequencies, and the people who like to go down in the deep. There's got to be everyone on this planet for things to work. And when you meet a person like Juliette, the opportunity is you can access parts of you without having to go. Like, how many years of studying and immersion has it taken for you to be able to be who you are today, where literally you lose your brother in the same week you're leading this class? How many years?
I'll tell you another story. I lost my sister, and I led a coaching call basically in person in London 2 days later. So gosh, I've been doing parts of this work. I was a Senko. I used to help kids with educational disadvantages. I never call it disabilities because it's not, for years. So it's taken me 10, 20 years, I think. The
Can you
the
imagine?
last 10, 15 years of deep, deep work. Shamanism, going on a vision quest, I mean, sacred medicine, all this kind of stuff, the little breadcrumbs and just following it.
So this is like dedicating such a big part of your life to being able to lead people through a process in a few moments, like what just happened here. This is 1 hour with a person who's taken 15 years to be able to deliver that hour. And what this is it's not about fixing anything. It's about being able to integrate extraordinary pain and still function at the same time. It's about not needing to literally plug yourself off, like unplug yourself and crash and not be able to get yourself back up and lose so many years of beauty because you can't process the pain, to not be able to see the light at all because the darkness is too strong, to say no to things you deeply want to say yes to because you can't handle the guilt of feeling sad and adding joy in the same day. It's not possible. It's not fair. It's not right. And so what I love about these processes and what I love about you and what you bring is really that there's a permission to live a full life filled with love and grief, filled with joy and sadness, filled with intensity and softness, filled with all the things, which is really what we want, a rich life where there's no limits. And I feel like sadness and pain often limit the rest. You won't limit your sadness with joy, but you'll limit your joy with sadness. You'll cut it right off. You'll say, I can't be happy today. I'm sad. And with these processes, you can have both. And I feel like that's how you really take your life back, because the mind is one tool and mindset work is important. But what Juliette just said, and if you didn't write this down, so important. It's an image, it's a thought, and then it is a
Body sensation
body
and an
sensation and an
emotion.
emotion.
Yeah.
And so if you can think about it, you can maybe get through the first, okay, the image, the mindset, you've got that. But the minute the body sensation comes in and you can't breathe, or your heart tenses, or you feel in your throat, or your eyes start to water, you're like, nope, 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 no, no. The minute the body sensation hits, we block the emotion. Stop it, stop the process. And so this helps you actually change the body emotion, the body sensations. You're focusing on your breath now. You're liberating your body. You're touching your body in a different way. You're anchoring yourself. And then you can finally access that emotion. And when you can hold both emotions at the same time, you're touching duality. And the greatest leaders in this world are able to walk with both. You have to be able to walk with both, or else what you're telling the world is, I can lead you as long as I have no pain. And that's a very different leader. That's why bridges are tested. Leaders are bridges and bridges are tested.
I love that. But it's also, I must say, I mean, these last few years have definitely been, I mean, I keep saying grief has been my biggest teacher in this life. And it has been. But I've also allowed myself to be fully me in my grief. And that meant that I was laughing and having a great time, and there'd be snot and crying and wailing, and people were like, holy shit, this is a lot. You are a lot. I'm like, yes, I am. So I used to come with like a little bit of a warning, like when I went to dinner and stuff with people, I'm like saying, hey, I am in a grief process. You don't have to caretake me, but just take care of yourself, because it means that I'm laughing and having a great time. And one moment it will just, that pocket of grief will hit, and I have to actually move myself through it. So that means I might shake a little bit. Means I might cry, I might wail, I might do it with this, that. And this is it. But the friends and the people that I've actually led in that have said, oh my God, we have learned so much from you, that you actually wear your emotions on your sleeve. You really are feel fully. You embody your company, what your brand, and what it is. And what is it to be an embodied leader, right? I mean, we hear so much about embodiment, but embodiment is really the way that we encompass all of us, every single part of us, the good part, the not the parts that we don't love so much, the body hate. And I've gone through all of that as well, like being twice the size I was, a beached whale, and the this and the that. But it's like, can you still lead with that? Can you still love yourself there? Because once you can do that, can you be in that darkness? I mean, I became a professional dom, for goodness sake, just because I had so much charge against it. I'm like, oh, I don't want to do this. I'm like, okay, that's where I need to go then. This is like the thrill seeker in me a little bit. It's like, Oh, I'm afraid of heights. Let me jump out of a plane. These kind of things. That is really the duality. Can we walk with all of it? Can we be who we
And what
are?
I love is that you represent an ideal. Again, you represent an ideal of what's possible in the human body in the same day, in the same moment, over the same dinner, to say, look, I'm going to laugh as if all there is beauty, and I'm going to cry like all there is pain within the same hour, and I'm okay. It just might trigger you. And so if the whole world were okay with that, then we wouldn't have to have trigger warnings. But the other side, and the duality on the other side, and I don't know if any of you have experienced this, but are people who grieve for years, who wear black for years, who never go to a dinner party, who don't go out in public, who don't invite their friends over and they don't answer the phone, they don't feed themselves, they just lose themselves entirely and never leave the house. And people say, you've got to get help, you've got to do something, you can't stay like this is not healthy. And they're like, how can I? Like, how can I? And so when you look at the intensity of those two opposites, you're going to find what you want somewhere on the spectrum. You're going to say, you know what I want? I want to be able to have days where I go out and days where I stay home. I want to be able to have mornings where I go out and afternoons where I stay home. You're going to find your place where that's your landing spot. But with these tools, you can customize your life and you can customize your healing. And I feel like that is such a beautiful thing to know you can access. And again, like Juliette said, this is not just about grieving people. This can literally be about tension, anything that your body is stopping the reaction. Your body's going, I don't want to feel the stress about money. I don't want to feel the stress about having this difficult conversation. I don't want to feel this anger about whatever. You can take yourself through that process, feel the duality at its most intense, and shrink the timing until you can hold them together. Just replace the words she said with different words and take yourself through this. Watch it over again in your life whenever you need it, because it will be there for you. It'll be available to watch and to listen to. What an incredible tool to have in your back pocket. That is such an incredible gift that you gave today.
Thank you. And it's probably one of the easier processes that we can take ourselves through and through and through again with everything. We can also actually use it to call in things. Yeah, so if you want to have more, we can even do it with people. Like if I want to have more of you, I see myself on one side, I see you on the other side until we merge together. And then we
Well,
can,
do you need to hop off fast, or do you have a minute?
no, I've got time.
So why don't we, just so people leave here on a high, take them through a process where we bridge bringing in, let's say, like healing a duality where they're calling in.
What are we going to do? Let's see.
Okay, tell me which one resonates with you more. Either they're calling in optimal health, optimal wealth, or like top love, like one of those three that you want to take us through, where they're having to bridge the gap between the fear of not having it, but the end goal, the neutrality we're gaining, is they believe and they feel like it could happen to them today.
Okay, so what does people want? What do you want? Health? Money? Okay, I'm getting it. Love or wealth? Okay, wealth. All right, so what about we? All right, good. Let's do it. I'm going to take myself off this again so I can see you all.
I'll mute myself.
All right, all right. So this time I'm going to actually, no, you know what? I'm not going to bring fingers in. It's going to be difficult. You can also do it with fingers and on meridian points, but we're not going to do that. Okay, so we are going to bring in wealth, right? Abundance. And wealth can be your health as well. So whatever wealth means for you, is that your health? Is that wealth in love? Or is that wealth in monetary ways? Okay, so much easier to actually do it this way. So again, go ahead and close your eyes, wiggle your hips a little bit and clench your butt cheeks. My dom is coming out a little bit. All right, I love it. Okay, so take a breath in. And what is the opposite of wealth for you, by the way? Does anyone want to write in duality for you so I can lead you through that? Lack. Perfect. Destitution, lack. Okay. Depression. Okay. Woo. Okay. I'm just going to use lack. You guys can substitute what you want to use for that. Okay. So again, wiggle a little bit and just get back in. Yeah. The hips also hold a lot of emotions and tension there. So I always get people to wiggle their hips a little bit. Their hips, do your shoulders a little bit. Rotations. Great. Okay. So as soon as you're feeling good, take a breath in, close your eyes. And I want you to bring to mind, what does wealth mean to you? So see an image of maybe actually stacks of money, or a loved one that you want to call in, the person that you want to see, or that big ring, or a healthy body, whatever it is for you. Then bring in the thought that follows that. The body sensation. Is it expansive? Where is it living in your body? Is it hot? Temperature? Is it battery? Think about all of those. And then the emotion. Joy, whatever it may be for you. Take a deep breath in and exhale through your mouth, letting it out, unclenching that butthole. Then go to the other side, to lack. And that might be financial lack, monetary lack, just lack, what it feels like, not having that. Yeah, let yourself feel that. The emotions that come up, the images, the thoughts, the body sensations. Taking a breath there. And then exhale through your mouth, letting it go, moving your hips a little bit, unclenching. And go back to wealth. Whatever wealth means to you, bring that in fully. Feel that fully. Allow all the body sensations, the images, the thoughts, the emotions to course through you, to become you, to be you. Take a breath in there. Exhale and let it go. Close the door to that. Say bye-bye. We're going back to lack. You might notice that there might not be such a big charge or resistance anymore, but feel that lack, the image, the thought, the body sensation, the emotions. Take a breath in and exhale. Now feel both wealth and lack at the same time. Take a breath in. Bring it up all the way up to your crown, feeling them at the same time. I like squeezing my pelvis there, my butt cheeks a little bit. Feeling them both at the same time. Exhaling through your mouth, letting everything go and noticing if they're coming closer. How close are they coming? Yawning is beautiful. It's a beautiful way to move it through. We'll go for our next round. Feeling wealth. Feel that fully. Magnify it. Really make it 100% real. Our minds doesn't know the difference between real and not real. So just be there. Image, thought, body sensation, emotion. Take a sip of air. Exhale, let it go. Go back to lack. Be there 100%. Feel it fully. Experience it. Image, thought, body sensation, emotion. Take a breath in. Exhale, let it go. And back to wealth. Take a breath in. Feel wealth. Fully experience it in all the ways. Start noticing where it might not be so positive anymore. There might just be, it might start to become neutral. Exhale, let it go. Feel lack fully. Images, thoughts, body sensations, emotions. Others were there. Might not be so much interference there anymore, not so much charge either. And just let that go. And again, feel both at the same time. Take a deep breath in. Feel wealth, feel lack. Tilt your pelvis up a little bit. Bring it all the way to the top, 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 top. Hold it, hold it, hold it, hold it, hold it. Exhale. And just notice what's happening between them. Have they merged? Are they together? We're going to go for one quick round. Feel wealth. All the images, thoughts, body sensations, emotions. Breath in, breath out. Let it go. Feel lack. Images, thoughts, body sensations, emotions. Breath in and breath out. Let it go. Back to wealth. Again, feeling it. Noticing where there may not be any charge at all. Let a breath out. Lack. Breath out. Now bring them both together at the same time. And just notice that merging. Have that radiate in all directions from all sides. Know that this is the consciousness. This is your deepest essence. You can always come back to here. You have choice. And slowly come back to the room, to the here and now. And know that you can do this everywhere. That was a very quick round.
I love it. And something came through for me to share with the group during that, because I think this is going to be a powerful thought to take you through while you're building your wealth in all areas of your life. We always walk with both. No matter what you imagine, we always walk with both. That means when poverty is there or lack is there, you have got to be able to touch wealth as if it was the next possible available thing to come. It has to be in the middle of the most lack you've ever felt. You still can touch wealth. And then the thing is, most people imagine when I'll be wealthy, I'll never feel lack again. That's also a lie. And so if you imagine that, the minute you touch lack when you're supposed to be in a state of wealth, you'll start to spiral, thinking the minute there's lack, there's only lack, and you won't be able to get yourself back. So this is an incredible tool as you're building your wealth, because every time there's wealth and lack, you can be both. And at the peak of your wealth, where you thought you would never feel lack, there will still be moments where you feel lack. And so if you're able to hold the wealth and the lack, billionaires feel wealth and lack. You've got to be able to feel both. Duality is the gateway to everything. And so if you can't feel both at the same time, you only ever feel the thing you don't want to feel. This is why this is the most powerful tool ever. This is the greatest gift. If you can understand the value of what you received in this call, this is the greatest gift to neutralize your nervous system when you're going into a panic around any emotion, whether you want to neutralize it in a positive way or in a neutral way. These tools are out of this world. So thank you, Juliette. This was phenomenal. And I just want, like, on behalf of all of us, I just want to recognize you for the power it took to lead this right now. The duality is extreme, and you nailed this. I felt your heart every step of the way. You made this so understandable for everyone. And if this is not the example of what your work is, I don't know what is. Just thank you for being you.
Thank you for receiving me.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm going to read Juliette's bio as if we need any information at this point. Juliette is a mentor.
Sorry, I'm just reading Karen's The Duality Dom. I'm going to call myself that, Karen.
Is a mentor, author, and guide specializing in empowering visionaries and leaders to transform their lives. With focus on relationships, sexual trauma, body shame, grief healing, and spirituality, she focuses on reinventing the most important relationship of all, the one with oneself. Her mission, a world where pleasure, spirituality, and sensuality reign. through coaching, teaching the rapid release, rewire, and restore method, retreats, and her podcast, The Scrumptious Woman, which is in the top 5 globally. She impacts tens of thousands of lives. With fierce love for her 4 young adult children, partner, dog, and friends, she embraces life with joy and contagious laughter.
You haven't heard the laugh yet.
We have heard plenty of the laugh. I love the laugh. I love you so much. I'm so incredibly grateful for everything you've done today. This was such a gift. I send you so much love. Get some rest. Thank you for everything. And we'll see you on the internet. Everyone, thank you for being here. And we'll see you this afternoon for the next call.